Warning, if you wasted 2 hours of your life in 1986 watching Geraldo Rivera break down a wall to find another wall for 2 hours, this will not suck as much as that. This is about to be a fun video. I am standing behind the Mineola Hotel. Once was the hangout and hideout of Al Capone. Other notable people to stop by and hang out were Frank Sinatra, where he once hung his hat, got drunk, left his hat, and the owner of the bar encased it on the wall where he hung it in glass. Let's take a look.
You're my girl.
Fox Lake, Illinois. It is a town and it is a lake nestled in the center of the chain o' lakes in northern Illinois, just 15 miles south of the Wisconsin border. It offers boating, skiing, pike and bass fishing, and Blarney's Island, an island of drunk people who enjoy blues music and beer all day and all night, 1 mile offshore. And I think that means the bartender can marry you. Well, I probably don't need to tell you this place is haunted. A couple of those cable TV shows about haunted things came here and did their little haunted videos, but that's not what makes this place awesome. Back in the 19-teens and the 1920s, there was a guy named Al Capone. And Al spent most of his weekdays in this place on the south side of Chicago. A 2-story bungalow, if you will. Same floor plan for every house on the block. But this house was special. It had double concrete walls and bars so nobody could break in on the lower basement level, and it was the first house in this Chicago South Side neighborhood ever to see a 2-car garage. Mineola Hotel has been placed on the National Register of Historic Places by the United States Department of Interior, constructed in 1884. Al Capone died in 1947, and Frank Sinatra did not record his first song until 1954. And because the Chain of Lakes, 60 miles outside of Chicago, was actually the weekend destination for rich people, it's very possible that Frank Sinatra came here as a 25, 26-year-old man to perform, as this exact same hotel was used annually for the Magicians Conference. But here's a big twist in the story. The Valentine's Day Massacre, which you might have heard of, was an attack on Muggsy Moran's gang, the Northsiders, who were running liquor during Prohibition. 2 guys dressed like Chicago cops and 2 guys dressed in suits with machine guns walked into Muggsy Moran's distributorship and opened fire. In Chicago, it's about north and south more than it is black and white. This must be parking for Norman Bates. So after we take a gander inside from some people who trespassed, unlike myself, we're going to go to the Retribution House of Valentine's Day Massacre. That's right. They got revenge. And it's only a mile down the street. Before we head down the road where Bugsy Moran got retaliation for the Valentine's Day Massacre, let's take a look at one more very interesting factoid about this place is that it was said to have an escape tunnel into Fox Lake. In case they were raided by the police on foot, they can escape through the lake. And I think I found where it was, if it was here. This looked like a pretty steep drop-off, and I could see that being a filled-in area that would be like a 6-foot pipe that would lead in and out of the building. Pretty simple construction, and that is a pretty deep drop-off, especially next door at the property with the sandy beach. I mean, that's a pretty darn far fall. And I could see where filling in the land would keep the water away from the tunnel that I'm believed to be standing over. And wouldn't this be the perfect angle to pull it off the building? Because perpendicular would be obvious. So as I'm walking away from the building, there's an old man coming towards the building, and I thought, who better to ask questions than this old dude? And he answered my questions, but then he opened another can of worms and told me a whole new mob story that was connected to Al Capone. Okay.
I don't know if I should tell you all this anymore.
Go ahead. Don't worry. I'll cut out whatever's not appropriate.
All right.
Now, your dad owned
a restaurant in Chicago called Mr. Christopher's.
Okay.
And my father, after Prohibition, about 75, 80 years, we only moved one block. All right? My grandfather, my father, and myself.
Nice.
Within one block. So in my restaurant, I had put a little lounge in when we started. We had a little restaurant. And as we went along, we had a big garage behind us that was 50 by 50. Mm-hmm. And I decided to do banquets. And after a couple of years, this is back, I started in 59. So about 63 or 64 is when I started doing the banquet room. In comes this gentleman, sits at the bar at lunchtime. I used to get a lot of people for lunch. But when he seen all the liquor I had on the back of my bar, he says, "You buy all my products." I says, "Yeah." And he used to say, "Well, you know, when I walk by your garage, and I see that they're working on it, I know that place from somewhere, but I don't remember where." So it goes on for a few months. And he walks in one day, sits down, has lunch at the bar, and he starts screaming. He just gets up and screams, "Chris, I know how I know your garage back there." He says, "Does that have a basement underneath it?"
Oh.
I said, "Yeah." He said, "Is there 3 sewer covers that go from the inside of the garage down to the basement?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "That's where we used to make liquor. We pull it in with the truck, the alcohol, put it through the sewers,
Awesome.
the covers, and then we make the batch, and we bottle it, and we push the cases through the
Awesome.
cover." And he swore, I don't know.
How old was the guy at the time when the day he stood up? What would you have to guess his age?
Mid-60s.
Wow.
The early 70s.
He was right in there then.
Okay. He said, "Shut that off, I'll tell you." No, I don't want to do that.
This old Irish Mick knew too much, so I had to shut him up a little bit, then give him a ride in the trunk till we go fishing with him later. So the older gentleman that may or may not be in my trunk right now explained to me that this guy who jumped up and was excited used to be the driver for Al Capone. Now, running a liquor distributorship. If you're from Chicago, you know how that works, right? Let's head over to the scene of the Valentine's Day Massacre Retribution. Okay, this is Pistachey Lake. The other side of this town is connected to one of the other 15 lakes on this river that connects 15 lakes. So this home, which was once a hotel, was the hangout and hideout of the other South Side gang. It was first assumed by Chicago police that Al Capone was responsible for the Valentine's Day Massacre 1929. Bugsy Moran came to the conclusion that it was a guy named Terry Drugan, and Terry Drugan's gang was from the South Side, and this was their hideout, their weekend getaway, a hotel. Now, there is a 100-foot flagpole that is now on Park District property that used to belong to the owner of the hotel. And if the American flag was up, it was okay for the gang to show up. But if the flag was lowered, it meant keep on moving, don't come around. And if you remember back to the beginning of the video that I said I was standing behind the Mineola Hotel, and the other side was the lake. Well, when you live on the water, lakeside is the front, just like this funeral home, ironically next door to the Retribution of the Valentine's Day Massacre. Peace and love worldwide. Live your life before your life lives you.